In a world where runners have lost hope of ever racing again, two heroes have emerged with a pretty cool idea.
Let's train for 6 weeks and then do a 5K time trial on October 17th. I'll try to run a 19:59.
And I'll try to run a 17:59. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Michael and it is me again. We are going to be talking about our build up towards our time trial on October 17th, 2020. For me, I can definitely say this was a very hopeful week for me. Things have changed for the better. My times have improved. I feel like I'm getting closer where I need to be, and my weight actually came down. More on all of that later, but Michael, welcome. Thank you for coming back. And
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, let's start with you. I'd love to talk through the details of how your training went, how your diet went, how your rest went, all that kind of fun stuff. We are about 4.5 weeks away, everyone, from time trial day, as I just mentioned. But I think, as is natural when you're building up towards a race or a time trial or anything, I'm starting to feel the butterflies. How about you, Michael?
Absolutely. I'm starting to feel the soreness of training too.
Yeah, I'm getting there myself. I'm starting to build my mileage to decent levels again. So let's just get into it. Talk us through your week, starting with last Monday.
Yeah, so last week, so I'm on the third week of sort of building my mileage up, so last week I hit 27 miles for the week, so that's a pretty high mark for me. I think I've peaked, at before, but this is, it's getting close to. But yeah, I had some good runs on, Monday and Thursday was kind of my easy days. Last week I had a solid track workout on Wednesday, and then a nice long run on Sunday.
So, and you ran over 4 different days?
Yes.
Cool.
So I assume, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I assume your easy runs were just, exactly that, nice and easy.
Yeah, just easy 5 mile, just taking it easy.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So if you want to lead us through and show us through your Strava numbers for your tempo day and your long run day, that'd be great.
Sure. So yeah, I had a really good for my track workout. It was on Wednesday. I did a 10 by 400s. I had a 1 mile warm up, and then I went into the workout, and I definitely went out. I went out too fast, so I had the first couple reps were around that mid 5 pace. 5:30, 5:40, somewhere around there.
Good for you.
And then I think, probably about 3. So I had 3 reps in that mid 5 range. And then I realized really quickly that I wasn't going to hold that. So then the rest of them, I was around the 6-minute range. And then I felt like I was just barely going to hold on for the end.
That's right where you want to be at the end, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it was an encouraging workout. It was very hard, but I was happy with it. When I finished. So looked like my average pace over the whole thing was 6:03.
That's awesome. So just for a little bit more detail, those were 300s or 400s?
400s.
Okay, and how long did you take rest between each?
Probably about a minute and a half.
Okay.
Not too long, but enough to get my heart rate back down to where I could go again.
Yep. That's awesome. That's a seriously solid workout. With those kind of times, man, you are really setting yourself up for success. Oh, don't mind my puppy dog here. You're really setting yourself up for a successful time trial day. That's great because those numbers are so much faster than what you need to maintain for the 5K.
Yeah, so to maintain that 6:25 pace, I know I definitely got to be putting in the work, running those repeats faster. So we'll see, we'll see where I get.
You're making all the right moves. I'll tell you that. That's great. I'm really, really proud of you to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we can take a look at my long run. I had a good long run
Cool.
yesterday on Sunday. It was the temperature was sort of up there. I think it was about 70, 72, 73, some even at 6 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, and it was pretty humid in this, up here anyway. It was very humid the whole weekend.
yeah, it was. So I did 12 miles, and I tried to roll down and get close to marathon pace, which I think is around 8 flat for me, but I didn't really get there. I hadn't ran this mileage or this distance quite some time, probably since April. So looking at a pretty long time. But yeah, I started in the mid nines. Started off really easy, then I worked my way into the eights, mid eights. There's a lot of elevation on this.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So,
Wow,
then,
mile 9 is a rough one.
yeah, it's straight back up from the lake. But and then I tried to keep it sort of do some back and forth in front of my neighborhood to keep the end of it a little flatter.
I gotcha.
But
well, that's great. Yeah, I mean that's a nice progression run, generally speaking. I mean,
I got to mid eights and then low eights. The last mile is my fastest. So
yeah, that's what you always want. Last one, fast one.
yeah. So
That's
averaging
awesome.
8:51. So I mean, it wasn't too bad. It's a little bit slower than my other long runs, but we'll get there.
No, I mean, to me, the most important thing about this run is the fact that, last week when we went through your run, you did like a 10 and a quarter, 10 and a third, something like that miles, and you're up to 12. That the combination of going further this week with turning it into a progression run where you kept getting faster, I think is going to be a huge benefit to you because, I mean, that does nothing but teach you how to grind when you're hurting. And it also extends how far you can go before you start to feel that fatigue.
Yeah.
And it trains you to just deal with that lactic acid buildup that you're going to feel in your legs probably by, halfway through that 5K.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be feeling after lap 1.
Yeah, just trying to build that aerobic capacity so I'll be able to go anaerobic in the 5K.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, I'm so happy to see this. Your 2 key workouts this week, I think, are really promising. That's great. I mean, I'm just really happy to see this. For everybody who's watching this and following along week to week, I think this is the first week for both of us where we made some serious progress towards being able to hit that time trials goals realistically.
So tell me about your runs, Paul. How'd it go?
Yeah, so for me, we're looking at, again, I ran all 7 days for the week. Monday was an easy run, 6 miles. Normally, I would run, my normal run schedule usually means Tuesdays are my speed day. I was not feeling it. I think I was still, just lack of sleep Sunday night and Monday night kind of added up to, I knew I wasn't going to pull off what I wanted to do if I used Tuesday as my speed day. So I ran another 6 mile easy day on Tuesday and saved my tempo day for Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I ran a total of 10 miles with 3 as a warm up, ramping up to the necessary speeds, getting my heart used to it, getting my legs loosened up. And then I had 1 mile at the end that was just a warm down, with 6 miles that actually represented the tempo run itself. And I ran it in my new Adidas SL20s. I'm going to get in a cheesy little plug here. Everybody, I just published, when you see this video, if you're watching on Wednesday, I published a new shoe review for Adidas, the Adidas SL20 this past Sunday. So go back and check that out. They're a very cool shoe. Cool enough for me to wear them on my tempo day. So, and keep in mind, like I said, all of my runs this week have been on the treadmill. So this 6 mile tempo run was a progression run for me. I started out with mile 1 at 9.2 miles an hour, and then increased by 0.1 miles an hour each mile after that. So I went 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5, 9.6, last mile at 9.7. And I'll tell you what, my legs were burning pretty good by the time I got to this last mile. The way I've scheduled out my tempo runs, I haven't thought about them all the way through the remaining 4.5 weeks up until time trial day, but I have done enough planning ahead to know that this was the last time that I'm going to be using my tempo run or doing my tempo run at where I'm not touching my necessary time trial speeds. Next week, I'll be running intervals instead of a tempo run. And I've only been doing, up to now, I've only been doing 6x400s. So I think what I'm going to do next week, it's going to be 8x400s, and I'm going to start at 9.8 miles per hour, do 2 at 9.8, 2 at 9.9, 2 at 10, which is equal to which is exactly 6-minute miles, 10 miles an hour. Then the last 2 400 repeats will be at probably 10.1, 10.2.
Okay. I'm just going to jump in. I pulled up a conversion for the folks who was curious on that pace. So 10.1 is 556 pace per mile. 10.2 is 553 per mile. And then just jumping back, Paul, you said your tempo, you worked up to 9.7 miles per hour, and that's a 6:11 pace for everybody who was curious.
So what I'm going to do then, I don't want to talk about next week, so forget about that. But my plan is to actually, for the first time, touch my necessary pace for the time trials. And then as the weeks go forward, 2 weeks from now, when I'm actually doing sustained 6-mile tempo again, I'm toying with the idea. Depending on how I feel that day, I will, 3 miles of that 6-mile tempo run will be an attempt to at least equal my old 5K, my current 5K PR, which is 6 minutes per mile flat. I'll try to run 3.1 of those 6 miles at that pace. If I'm feeling good, I'll push past it and just keep on going. I doubt I'm in that kind of shape yet. But
yeah.
Anyway.
I'm considering doing maybe 1 mile repeat end of this cycle to see where I'm at, as far as
1600s.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of, since I'm leapfrogging my tempo runs with more track, just, interval workouts each week. When I get to my intervals in 3 weeks, I'm going to stop with the 400s and probably move up to 800s. Try to sustain those kind of, like 10 miles an hour and above for half a mile at a time, basically.
Yeah.
I think that'll probably give me a good indication of whether I'm going to stand a chance at the time trial.
Yeah.
All right, so to move on, last Wednesday was my tempo day. So Thursday I did an easy 7 just to get the mileage in. Last Friday I did what was going to be a medium long run, but I only went 10 miles. And since it was a shorter run for a medium long run, I kind of treated it as another progression run. So I took 2 miles to ramp up to 8.5 miles per hour. Then I did 2 miles at 8.6, 2 miles at 8.7 miles per hour, 2 miles at 8.8 miles per hour, 1 mile at 8.9, and 1 mile. In the last mile of that run, every quarter mile, I went up another tenth. So I went from 9.0 to 9.3 miles an hour just to wear myself out and to prove that, 48 hours after doing my tempo day, I could still get back to those speeds and my legs could handle it.
Mhm.
So that was successful, came out of that feeling good. Saturday was another 7 miles easy for me. And then my Sunday long run, I went 16 miles and on the treadmill, ran it in my Hoka Rincons, which are getting very quickly to end of life. But they took me through comfortably. My feet weren't hurting. There's no muscular pain, no joint pains, nothing going on. So, but at any rate, that 16 miles was structured as follows. Again, 2 mile ramp up to get to 8.5 miles an hour. Then I did 2 miles at 8.6, and 8.6 for everybody. 8.6 miles per hour is that's the threshold when you drop under 6 or 7 minute miles. I think it's like 6:58. So 2 miles to ramp up to 8.5. Then I ran 2 miles at 8.6, then 4 miles at 8.7, 4 miles at 8.8 miles per hour, then 1 mile at 8.9, 1 mile at 9.0, 1 mile at 9.1, and 1 mile at 9.2. And then, I was tired at the end, but I wasn't wiped out, which is a nice feeling. And so I
That's
feel like
awesome stuff.
I felt like it was a really successful run week. It's the first time I'm starting to approach, like I'm kind of like, if this was the level I was at last year when I ran my last marathon and ran a PR in my marathon, I feel like for the last several months, I've just kind of been floating down here somewhere. And I feel like now in the last 2 weeks, I'm here. And I'm just knocking on the door of being able to get back to where I was. And the fact that we
Yeah,
still got
I was gonna ask you what so your current marathon PR is around what, 6:30 pace, somewhere around there?
I think it's like a 6:32. I
Okay.
ran
So
a 2:52 last October. So I'm like, my intention was, I trained that's for that marathon cycle, I trained with intending to sustain 9.4 miles per hour for that 26 miles. But in reality, I ended up running, it works out to like 9.2 that I ran. So,
okay.
you know.
And do you always, so your long runs, you try to, you're working towards getting to marathon pace by the end of it in general, right?
Yeah. Whenever I for the last 2 training cycles and for what I'm doing, even for this 5K time trial, because I'm not training exclusively as like a speed runner, like a short distance speed runner for a 5K. To me, this time trial, I really want to set a new PR, but I'm using it as sort of like a stepping stone so that I'm ready for a marathon by early spring of 21. And I'm also using it as an excuse to build my speed because right now I'm intending to run a half marathon in mid-November that hasn't been canceled so far in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And the speed work that I'm doing now, along with the long runs, hopefully can get me to where I've got a somewhat realistic chance at running a half marathon PR in November. So that's why I'm maintaining these long runs as well, with keeping an eye on what bed, keeping an eye on building, always doing them as progression runs so that I'm sort of doing the last couple of miles at least at marathon pace.
Awesome.
So there it is. The other good news for me, I think that made it a good week, is that I lost 2 pounds, as you will see magically with this overlay. Last week when I checked in with you, Michael, I weighed in at 146.8, and I weighed in twice this week at 144.8. So, hooray!
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got like 5 pounds to go to be able to just sneak in under 140 pounds and hopefully be ready for this time trial. So, I don't know if you want to talk about that. How's your weight loss going this week?
My weight loss is not going this week. But I had a strong week, so hopefully we'll get some pounds off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also keep in mind that we're also building muscle, so that's going to kind of counterbalance that weight loss too.
Yeah.
Cool, man. It sounds like we both had really good weeks. More to come next week, more pressure building. And there is a possibility, people, that I don't want to promise anything, and I can always cut this out of the video if it turns out not to be true, but Michael and I may be doing a little preview at the track this coming weekend, just to make sure everything is the way we like it to be. So if that does happen, you've got some video footage of us running circles on a track to look forward to next week. So please tune in. Thank you for keeping up with us. And as always, please share your experiences. If you're building towards a race, doesn't matter if it's a 5K, what it may be. I'd love to hear about your goals and what you're doing to achieve them. It only motivates Michael and I. So please do comment below and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the fun as we get closer and closer to the big day. Thanks, Michael, for being here. Do you have any other thoughts to share?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Not really. I guess we'll see you next week.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out.